Hello, third graders. I wanted to share another chapter from Leprechauns Don't Play Basketball by Debbie Dady and Marcia Thornton Jones. Today we're going to be doing chapter 9. Thinking about chapter 8 before we go on, we are starting to notice even more about the characters through their actions and words. So Melody seems to be kind of funny. She has a couple different jokes about Eddie throughout the chapter. Liza's concerned for Eddie. She doesn't know that he's doing the right thing, and she seems to be thinking that he might be in trouble. Eddie, again, showing that pattern of behavior by being mischievous. He's also irritable in this chapter because he snaps at Melody. Mrs. Jeepers seems suspicious. Now, she doesn't say anything in the chapter, but when Eddie is wanting to go to the bathroom, she looks at him in kind of a stern way. She raises her eyebrows at him, so she might be suspicious of his behavior. Howie, again, seems to be observant. He's inquisitive, and he's also caring. He's showing some concern about Eddie and what he's about to do. Now, Mr. O'Grady in this chapter is calm when all the bees are starting to come out of the jar. He doesn't seem to have any concern. He also seems like he might be magical. So I put a question mark about after that because maybe he is a leprechaun. We'll have to see. So we can recap the chapter by using our somebody wanted but so then model. So previously in Leprechauns Don't Play Basketball, Eddie is mischievous and irritable. He is hiding something in his pocket and he snapped at Melody. Eddie wanted to prove Mr. O'Grady wasn't a leprechaun by playing a trick on him. He snuck a jar of bees into gym class and released them. But when the jar broke, Mr. O'Grady wasn't upset. He pulled out a small red stone from his pouch. So then the bees flew out the window one by one, and Eddie was upset that his prank didn't work. Then one of the bees stung Eddie, and he did the honey bee waltz. Let's see what happens in chapter 9. Chapter 9 is called Eddie's War, and when I saw the title of that chapter, I thought, war. A war is a series of battles, and Eddie had a battle in the last chapter. So I wonder what he will do next. I wonder what his next battle will be. So let's read to find out. Chapter 9, Eddie's War. Eddie wasn't surprised when Principal Davis called him to the office after school. Principal Davis looked like Humpty Dumpty with glasses as he frowned at Eddie. And I'm looking at the picture, and Mr. Davis looks pretty upset, and he does kind of look like Humpty Dumpty with his round head. "Sit down, young man," he said gruffly. "Do I have to?" Eddie whined. Principal Davis almost cracked a smile. "These are dangerous. They're nothing to play around with." "I know," Eddie muttered. "I don't want to catch you misbehaving again," Principal Davis continued. "Let this be a lesson to you. Tricks will get you in the end." Eddie rubbed his bee sting. "I know," he said again as he left Principal Davis's office. His friends were waiting for him under the oak tree. "Now do you believe us?" Melody said. "Mr. O'Grady is the leprechaun after Mrs. Jeepers' fairy stone." "Maybe we should just let him take it," Eddie grumbled. "No," Liza shouted. "Mr. O'Grady might hurt Mrs. Jeepers." Howie shook his head. "Besides, if Mr. O'Grady got the stone, the world as we know it would end. Leprechauns would be running all over the place tricking people." "Eddie wouldn't care," Melody told them. "He's always playing tricks anyway." "He'd never get a chance to play any more tricks," Howie said. "The leprechauns would take care of that." Eddie rubbed a sore spot. "You may have a point. We have to do something." "But what?" Melody cried. "I have an idea," Howie said quietly. "We have to do what my grandmother said. We have to make him look us in the eyes. Then he'll do whatever we say." "How?" Liza squeaked. "Mr. O'Grady doesn't ever look straight at us." Eddie interrupted. "There's only one way. We have to trick the trickster." His three friends were quiet. How? Melody finally asked. You saw what he did when you tried to trick him this morning. Gather round, Eddie said, and I'll tell you. Liza's eyes grew big as Eddie whispered the plan. Do you think it'll work? She asked. It's got to, Howie said. Melody gulped. All right, let's do it. And that is the end of the chapter. I had to laugh because there were some kind of jokes in the chapter with Mr. Davis when he asks Eddie to sit down and Eddie's whining because remember he got stung on the bottom. And it says tricks will get you in the end, like his bottom. I thought that was kind of funny. Anyway, we will see what happens with the war in the next chapter.